Hello, bonjour, and bienvenue, welcome to the Global Ocean Biodiversity Initiative speaker pitch session titled Conservation Connectivity, Linking Science to Policy to Action. If you're watching this presentation, this slide should be familiar to you, as it is our entry on the IUCN World Conservation Congress website. This session had originally been intended as an in-person event with various speakers presenting to you the latest findings from their research. However, as we all know, things have changed considerably in the past 18 months, so now we have to conform to this new speaker pitch format, where I will be doing my best to do justice to their impressive body of work. Before I do that, however, I'd just like to give you a brief overview of what the Global Ocean Biodiversity Initiative is, how it came about, and what we do. My name is Christopher Barrio-Frojan, and I am part of the Secretariat for the Global Ocean Biodiversity Initiative, or GOBI for short. Working alongside my colleagues, Dr. Vicky Gum and the GOBI coordinator, Professor David Johnson. The Global Ocean Biodiversity Initiative was created back in 2008 during the 9th Conference of the Parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity in response to the recognition of a lack of an entity that could coordinate and collate relevant scientific evidence to support the description of ecologically or biologically significant areas, or EBSAs for short. The conference was hosted by Germany, so the German government became an important supporter of GOBI and has been ever since, together with a handful of other intergovernmental bodies and science leaders. Since 2008, GOBI has been joined by over 40 institutions who share in GOBI's commitment to provide quality, science-based knowledge to decision makers for the advancement of marine conservation agenda. Later, I will comment on the benefits of belonging to a consortium like GOBI. But now, I'd like to present to you some of the key results from the past 5 years of research carried out by a handful of our GOBI partners. The topics of research were chosen at the inception of this work to address specific knowledge gaps identified during discussions by experts at various high-level meetings, such as the conferences of the parties of the Convention on Biological Diversity and the Convention on Migratory Species. The intention is to highlight how a diverse set of research topics can be coordinated to have maximum impact and influence the conservation policy arena, which can then be translated into conservation action on the ground. The topics are the bioregionalization of the Indian Ocean and Southwest Pacific Ocean, or bioregionalization for short, ecosystem and migratory connectivity, the Costa Rica thermal dome, hydrothermal vent ecosystems, seabird data integration, and describing important marine mammal areas. I'll address each of these in turn. The first topic of research is the bioregionalization of the Indian Ocean and Southwest Pacific Ocean, which is led by colleagues at the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organisation in Australia. The work involves compiling all available large datasets on the distribution of species, together with physical and environmental datasets, and devising mathematical models that detect and build upon correlations amongst the various datasets. The results reveal distinct areas of ocean, either in the three-dimensional water column or on the sea floor. Each area harbors physical conditions and a biological community that is more similar to itself than it is to its neighbouring areas. Such knowledge is important as it enables the better management of natural resources in the ocean, particularly with regard to the design of representative networks of marine protected areas. To this end, several intergovernmental agencies and regional fisheries management organisations have already started making use of the results to inform their activities. In the coming months, the bioregionalisation exercise is to be expanded into the northern parts of the Indian Ocean, not yet covered by this research. The second topic of research is ecosystem and migratory connectivity, and is led by colleagues at the Marine Geospatial Ecology Lab in the United States and Queensland University in Australia. This topic has several strands, but perhaps the most prominent is the design and development of a system that helps visualize how distant locations across the planet are connected through the movement of migratory species. The system is called MICO, which stands for Migratory Connectivity in the Ocean. To build it and populate it with data, thousands of records of animal movements had to be found and extracted manually from the scientific literature, digitizing and standardizing every one. The task is far from complete, but thanks to the hundreds of man-hours already spent, the system is operational for a handful of species. The mycosystem is intended to span the gap between scientific discovery, which is usually reported only in the scientific literature, and the knowledge required by policymakers who rarely have time to access and collate all the information in the scientific literature. By aggregating data on myco, knowledge can be visualized to inform resource management and conservation decisions. myco has already made quite a splash, with several intergovernmental agencies recognizing its utility and winning an innovation award in 2020. Work continues to populate the system with more data. The third topic of research is the Costa Rica thermal dome, led by our colleagues at Fundación Mar Viva in Costa Rica. The Costa Rica thermal dome is the name given to an area of ocean off the Pacific coast of Central America. The area is notable for its high levels of biological productivity and diversity that results from a semi-permanent dome-like surge of nutrients from the deep ocean. Because it occurs partially in the high seas, it is at risk from overexploitation, as there are no legal regulations for most activities in the high seas. The purpose of this research has been to increase the thermal dome's visibility in society and in the governments of the region, so that a plan for its sustainable use can be put in place. That plan, or governance scheme, has been devised through several dedicated regional workshops involving all stakeholders. It has been presented to the regional authorities and is being considered for adoption. As one of the first schemes to incorporate areas of ocean that fall beyond areas of national jurisdiction, it is also being used as an example to follow in other areas where regional intergovernmental cooperation is needed to better manage marine resources. The fourth topic of research is hydrothermal vent ecosystems, led by colleagues at Duke University in the United States. Hydrothermal vents are essentially hot water geysers on the sea floor, usually along mid-ocean ridges. The combination of scalding temperatures, dissolved minerals, and extreme water pressure in total darkness have resulted in the evolution of unique animal species that are able to thrive under such conditions. However, very little is known about how these ecosystems operate, how they recruit new generations, and how do they propagate from one venting site to another. This research topic has sought to find answers to those questions, not only to better understand hydrothermal vent ecology, but also to inform regional environmental management plans in light of the burgeoning deep sea mining industry. Ensuring the correct placement of representative and ecologically connected networks of protected areas away from identified risks is essential if such unique ecosystems are to be safeguarded from damage by mining. The results of this work have already been incorporated into the International Seabed Authority's regional environmental management plans for the Mid-Atlantic Ridge and are relevant for other similar plans in other mid-ocean ridges. The fifth topic of research is seabird data integration, led by colleagues at BirdLife International in the United Kingdom. BirdLife hosts the Seabird Tracking Database, which is an open repository for all kinds of tracking data. With such a fantastic resource, scientists are able to develop analytical methods to identify areas that are important for seabirds during critical periods of their lives, such as breeding time or prime foraging areas, and even migratory routes. Areas of ocean that are critical for certain species can be designated as important bird and biodiversity areas, or IBAs for short. And these have been instrumental for the description and identification of marine protected areas and ecologically or biologically significant areas. Other strands of research look at overlaying seabird distribution data with activities that may pose a danger to them, like fishing or shipping. This way, threats can be identified and mapped, and can be used to inform international cooperation for the protection of seabirds across the whole of their range. New tracking data are being added to the database all the time, so working towards identifying important bird areas and promoting their protection is ongoing. The sixth topic of research is to develop and advance the process of identifying important marine mammal areas, which is led by colleagues at the Tethys Research Institute in Italy. Using the knowledge gained from developing important bird areas, marine mammal specialists have adapted the criteria to enable the identification of areas that are important for the lives of marine mammals, such as where they go to give birth, their feeding areas, and their migratory routes. Important marine mammal areas, or IMAs for short, are identified through a process of regional workshops where experts get together to interpret all the available data and draw lines around areas that are significant for marine mammal species. So far, 159 areas have been designated as IMAs, with many other areas being declared areas of interest. Areas of interest are locations that don't quite qualify as IMAs as they are in need of additional data to satisfy the IMA criteria. This knowledge, however, helps focus future work to acquire the necessary data. The regional approach to IMA identification is ongoing, and we're just one workshop away from having complete coverage of the Southern Hemisphere. After that, there are plans in place to cover the Northern Hemisphere. As with important bird areas, important marine mammal areas offer strong evidence in support of designating marine protected areas and activity management plans. So, all of that work has contributed to the creation of the poster you see before you, which offers just a taster of GOBI's contribution to the international conservation policy arena. What is also apparent is the benefit that individual institutions gain from being part of a larger consortium like GOBI that has access to the key international negotiations and meetings. Working collaboratively with other institutions in the consortium focuses the different research disciplines to work towards filling the gaps of knowledge identified during those global discussions, and together having a far greater impact on the conservation agenda than if they were working in isolation. That just leaves me to say that if you'd like to find out more information about GOBI, its partners, and the amazing cutting-edge work that they do, you can find it online via our website, our Twitter account, and our YouTube channel, where there are videos of a recent webinar series we did for each of the research topics I've just talked about. We also publish a newsletter twice a year, so if you'd like to subscribe to that, please write to the email address you see on your screen. And that's the end of the presentation. Thank you very much for listening and enjoy the rest of the Congress.